paper program, Excellence in Education. This is Marta Perez, and our mission is to expose and inspire excellence in education. Please follow us on Facebook and send questions via our chat room. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so fortunate to have as our guest someone who absolutely exemplifies and lives every day excellence in education. Every single day of his life, he gets to work with some of our most talented and motivated students. And he is part of that talent and that motivation. His name is Dr. Omar Monteagudo, and he is the principal of the School for Advanced Studies and the Academy for Advanced Academies. He is an intellectual and a gifted man, an attorney by education. He could have been a captain of industry. He could have done anything with his life, but he chose, luckily for us, in our community and countless students, he chose an education path and has been recognized with just about every kind of award that you can get in education. He has received Regional Principal of the Year, Assistant Principal of the Year, Teacher of the Year, and every kind of accolade that an educator could ever get. School for Advanced Studies is the collegiate high school in the United States, which has been ranked fourth best high school in the entire United States, and it's right here. And our students attend that. Isn't that a, a marvel for us? We are the fourth largest school district, and we have so many students, and we had the fourth best high school in the United States. And now with us is its principal to tell us more about it. And it is my pleasure, my big pleasure, to introduce to our audience Dr. Omar Monteagudo. Welcome, Dr. Montiagudo.
My pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Perez.
Thank you. Thank you. You make us so proud, and you've done it for so long. And last year, we were the fifth ranking, and this year, we are the fourth ranking, best high school in the United States. What an honor. We are so proud of you. Everyone should know your name in Miami Dade County. Please, though, tell us about yourself and your background.
Absolutely. I am a Cuban immigrant. I came at a very young age from Cuba. Had an opportunity to be a product of Miami-Dade County Public Schools, having attended
Where?
my main Walters Elementary,
Okay.
Filer Middle School, and Hialeah Senior High School. So I
Okay.
am a product of the city of Hialeah.
Uh-huh. Good. And what, tell us about your parents.
Absolutely. My parents, as every typical Cuban immigrant parent, hardworking, incredible work ethics. They went ahead and handed down the values that have allowed me to be successful today.
What were your parents, what were their trades or work in Cuba?
So in Cuba, well, when they came to the United States, construction. In the case of my father and my mother, worked for the school district initially as a cafeteria worker.
Uh-huh. Oh, my goodness.
Coming from humble beginnings, but once again, they were able to realize the American dream, and that's what matters the most.
What would they tell you every day about?
Education,
Uh,
education. You have to be able to work hard, and that this is a country of endless opportunities is there for the grabbing.
and do you have siblings?
Absolutely. I have two wonderful sisters.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
the youngest one.
Ah.
So, and when we take a look at education wise, I continued beyond high school. I'm a product of Florida International University.
Uh-huh.
I'm also a product of the University of Florida.
Did you set out in your when you graduated high school?
Right.
What did you think your life would be?
You know what? At that time, very unclear. I did obviously. My mother had aspiration for me to go on to law school,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to realize that dream for her.
Oh,
So I think that was very important. So I
where? So you went to FIU and got a
in,
bachelor's degree.
in political science.
Political. Oh boy.
Okay,
Okay.
and then I went on to the University of Florida, where I received master's degrees in Latin American studies and
Okay.
political
All
science.
right.
And then,
Did you ever think you would like to go into politics?
well, I always took an interest in government from a very theoretical
Uh huh.
perspective.
Okay.
Really took an interest into understanding international relations and global politics and how it impacts different regions of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And and then what I did is that I decided, let me go ahead and uh, got the teaching bug.
Uh huh.
Started teaching.
Where did you start?
I started as a substitute teacher, and while I was at University of Florida, I would come back and
To Miami.
to
Oh,
Miami once in a while, and I really took an interest in
in
being
high school, you did high school subbing.
high school subbing, and I really took an interest into the ability of being able to transfer that knowledge that I had onto other students, and being able to bring about that curiosity and that passion and interest.
So you were mostly subbing for government classes and
Correct.
things, and world history. Those
Yes,
kinds of classes
correct.
were the ones that.
Social sciences. So I really took interest, and then what I did here is that I took a period to went to law school.
Mhm.
Had an opportunity to
At
dabble
UM.
at Florida International University,
Okay. Oh,
and
very
then
good.
I dabbled in the private sector, and then I just decided that really my calling was more education.
When you did the private sector, what kind of law did you
So
practice?
initially, Agency for Healthcare, Florida Agency for
Okay.
Healthcare Administration, and I did private insurance litigation defense primarily. And then I just decided that, maybe education was the way for me. And
Mhm.
then I continued. I was able to move through the ranks from teacher to assistant principal to now being
And when you started teaching, what did you teach?
I
Government.
advanced placement, government in economics at Design and Architecture Senior High School in Dash.
Oh, that's a great school. And people don't understand sometimes what advanced placement means.
Right.
Tell us what that means, because you certainly have a lot of advanced placement
Sure.
experience.
So, advanced placement courses are courses that are structured and certified by the College Board. It's at a much rigorous level, and the students have an opportunity through examination to be able to earn college credit. So, it's a very accelerated academic program, very rigorous and demanding, but at the same time has huge payout, which is the opportunity for students to be able to earn college credits.
Yes, and often some students graduate from high school and already have an AA degree, which is
Through a
like two
combination of,
2 years
correct,
of college, and
right,
that's a beautiful thing.
absolutely,
Now, you were a teacher,
correct.
then you became a principal at
Well, I became first an assistant
as
principal
a
at Miami Lakes Educational Center,
okay,
and then I was able to head over to School for Advanced Studies, where I was able to advance.
advance,
Yes,
and people do not understand exactly what the School for Advanced Studies is. It's a high school,
correct.
obviously, but how do kids get in? What is the rigor? Tell us more about it. Where are they? If how do kids apply for it?
Sure.
Okay,
Absolutely. So, School for Advanced Studies began with its humble beginnings back in 1988 at Miami-Dade College North Campus,
okay.
which is also the original campus of Miami-Dade. We've been able to expand to 5 campuses, so now we're located.
But what was it that it did? What?
Right.
Okay, it was a high school that
Correct.
was located
It was
at
located
at
right.
Miami Dade.
It's located with Miami-Dade
And who
College.
went there?
Okay, so students initially were students that were seeking an opportunity for enrichment. So we had students coming from the north end of the county and students that would take the last 2 years of high school. What we've been able to do under my tenure is that we've been able to now not only expand geographically the number of campuses, we've been able to double our enrollment, and most importantly, we've been able to prioritize students earning their associates in arts degree, where we have now have 99% of our students this past year earning their associates in arts degree. Uh,
99%.
yes,
That one, that
that
just
one
that
percent.
one.
Yes, that 1%. And then also providing students with the opportunity to take advanced placement courses that is so important, and then also providing a platform for these students to be able to go on to some of the best college universities
So now there are five
campuses.
different independent campuses,
Correct,
correct?
correct.
Five, and you split yourself at like 20 people.
Right, right.
Where are you located
So,
generally?
so the main office or the business office is located in Kendall. However, um, as a principal, you have to be visible and you have to make sure that you're able to be responsive to the needs of your constituents, and that being the students, that's being the parents, and
So
also providing
so
leadership.
so you go to all five campuses every day, or how
I
often?
typically do 2 campuses per day.
Oh my goodness.
And depending on what the needs are, it might be at 3 campuses, right? So we always have activities going on. And once again, I think that presence is key.
Is key.
And also making sure that, regardless of whether we are in the north end of the county or we're down in the deep south, that all students that are part of SAS are getting the same services and are being exposed to the same level of rigor that they're deserving of. And that's what that presence provides, that oversight provides.
So a question about leadership. One of the most difficult things about a leader, and especially a leader like you with five campuses, is dealing with people.
Right.
You know, you might have one of the campuses where two people don't get along, and all of a sudden that becomes a big deal, and it becomes your problem. How do you handle people? What does leadership of the organization mean? And I didn't mean to ask you
No,
that
no,
question because we got so many other
absolutely.
questions.
I think that first and foremost is emotional IQ, right? You need to
Oh, great.
you need to know your audience. You need to know the culture. And I think that through dialogue, through conversation, through communication, you're able to build that level of trust, where individuals are able to see that you're aiming for a win-win situation or a win-win outcome. I think it's through communication, by being empathetic with others,
Mhm.
that other individuals are able to see your true intentions,
Mhm.
and they're able to gravitate and embrace what you um, value and what you are trying to articulate, right? So it's a matter of communication, trust, bonding, reciprocity. I think it's so important, making sure that you treat other
Mhm.
individuals the same way that you expect to be
What
treated.
I love that you said the first thing in your answer was emotional IQ. You are a man that deals with very high IQ people.
Correct.
Your life is very different from other principals because most of your students have high IQs, and yet research tells us that often emotional IQ is even more important than intellectual IQ.
Absolutely.
Tell us what what you think of that.
No,
How
I agree wholeheartedly with that. You can have an individual that has incredible aptitude, it's book smart, but you're not able to bring about transformation. You're not able to make inroads without the ability to connect with other individuals one on one. Being able to see, for example, being able to see reaction, body language,
Mhm.
and I think that that's very important. Having a self awareness and also having an awareness of the environment that you're also uh, navigating in, right? And I think that that's key, right? Once again, understanding the other side, and the environment in general.
It's so interesting because often we see people that you say, "Oh my goodness, they had such high potential, such brilliant minds," and if they are not able to be empathetic and not able to relate to other people, they're just not successful. And that's a very interesting thing because you obviously deal with the creme of the cream of the crop.
Right.
Tell us how students can apply.
Absolutely. So students apply in the 10th grade year. They have to have a 3.0 unweighted GPA, and they also have to pass the state assessment that is prescribed for all students that want to do dual enrollment, whether they're doing dual enrollment at the homeschool or they want to come over to our program. So
Because not, your school is not the only one that does dual
correct,
enrollment.
correct. So
Correct.
so in the open market that we have, right? Parents do have a lot of choices in Miami-Dade County. So we're one of many choices. And yes, dual enrollment is offered at the respective high schools. Uh, what we try to value is the culture and the sanctuary that we provide for our students. And I think that that's what sets us apart.
That's what your selling point.
That is
How do you sell yourself?
so the selling point here is the community of learners that we have, but also more importantly, the community that we develop that is inclusive, that is tolerant, that embraces differences, that promotes intellectual discourse, right? And creates this level of harmony where there's positive peer pressure, where there are values that are instilled in our students, where we want them to invoke or embrace work ethics, and that there once again is diversity. That's important.
And so you are the principal of the School for Advanced Studies, which has 5 campuses. If you take Miami-Dade and you have a map, it's spread throughout. But you're also the principal of the Academies for Advanced Academics. Tell us about that.
Sure. So the AAA program, as is known, is a uh, joint partnership between Florida International University and Miami-Dade County Public Schools, located at Florida International University. Is
And so the School for Advanced Studies is with Miami-Dade College.
correct.
And
AAA.
AAA is with FIU.
Correct.
And it is located
At the Modesto Madique campus, or the main campus, South Campus,
at
of
107th and
100
8th Street, right?
absolutely, yes. And that program is modeled based on the SAS program,
Mhm.
with the only distinction is that the students that are in the AAA uh, program graduate through their home school.
Okay.
So we provide the educational services, whereas
Now the students go to your
FIU,
FIU.
and they take both university classes and high school classes.
And how do you give them their high school classes? Do you have the high school teachers
Correct.
come in to FIU?
They're there, just like we do with the SAS program,
Okay.
where we have MDCPS full-time teachers
Mhm.
that provide the high school curriculum.
Mhm.
So this is a blended model where students are taking high school classes and they're taking college level classes on the college campus.
How many students are at the SAS?
At SAS, for the next year, we will have 840 students.
Whoa, that's very good.
Yes.
840.
Yes.
And you said that you doubled the
We
enrollment.
had doubled the enrollment.
And how many students do you have for the AAA?
Slightly under 100 students.
100. So that's a smaller program. Are
Correct.
you trying to grow it? I hope.
Absolutely. We're always looking for opportunity for us to be able to size the program.
By the way, that's the district that I represent.
Yes. So great. So what we're trying to do is that we're trying to definitely scale correctly in a way that makes sense without, in essence, sacrificing the essence and the integrity of the program.
And tell us about your teachers. Now, teachers, of course, we know from research, the number one most important factor in one student, the number one most important factor are the parents. But once they're in our schools, the number one most important factor is the teacher. How do you get exceptional teachers? Because these students, all our students need
Right.
exceptional teachers, obviously, but they have to have emotional intelligence, and they also have to have skills in some of the advanced studies to be able to teach. How do you attract and keep your teachers?
Absolutely. So the most important thing is what I call talent scouting, right? You have to be able to scout for talent. And it doesn't have to necessarily be someone who's an experienced teacher. You're able to recruit brand new teachers. You're able to recruit individuals that have only been teaching for a few years. What I'm looking for is their intellectual capacity, their willingness to learn,
Mhm.
their ability to be able to engage with students, right? And being a mentor to students. So I think that when you take a look at not only them being, once again, uh, having excellent credentials, but once again, it goes back to that emotional IQ. How do they relate to a student? So you could have the most brilliant teacher that doesn't have interpersonal skill. Students cannot learn from someone they don't like, they feel do not either like the student or embraces the student. So I think it's very important that you create a community where teachers are aligned with the vision mission of the school. And once again, they promote this idea of school being a sanctuary for learning.
Very good.
Yes, yes,
But those are hard to find, and
absolutely.
congratulations. What is the biggest challenge for you of being the principal of all these schools? What and having such enormous responsibility? What a my goodness! I don't know how you do it, honestly, and many people have said this too. But what is your biggest challenge? Would you say?
Time and distance, right? Time and distance. Sometimes you want to be able to get to every campus. Um,
Do you drive yourself, or do you have
Absolutely.
someone?
No, I drive
Oh my
myself. I drive
goodness!
myself, and sometimes my car becomes my mobile office, right?
I know. Yes.
So definitely, unlike a traditional school where you have one building
Uh
and
huh.
you're able to interact with students every single day,
Hmm.
from them when they arrive to school to dismissal, here I need to spread myself into six parts, right? So how do I ensure that I'm able to keep that connection to students? And we really have worked on this through our school transformation committee. And I have created different communication pipelines for the students to be able to have a direct connection to me. Open door.
How do you do that?
I do that every time on campus. I make sure that I notify the students that I will be in campus. I have an open door policy. I want to make sure that the students, if they have any pressing questions, they're able to connect directly to me. Also via emails and also through messaging
Now
system.
you're the head principal, but each school has a like an assistant,
One assistant
one
principal
assistant principal that
for the entire SAS.
yeah, yeah. And as soon as you get there, they're ready to tell you all the things that are wrong and all the things that
Correct.
need.
But I think that is being intentional and working through our student government association and empowering students, right?
Mhm.
So we do channel, and we do want to listen from to students. Like for example, about a week ago, I did have a student leadership retreat with
Mhm.
all my SGA presidents and officers from all campuses.
Oh,
We convene at our West Campus, and this is part of an initial conversation that we're going to have throughout the year of how do I engage students, how do the students become my eyes and ears for the purpose of input and feedback? You
mhm.
see, I could have the best intentions, my teachers can have the best intentions, but I never forget that my customers, my consumers are students.
Mhm.
And just like any good private organization, you have to be attentive to the needs of your consumers.
Mhm.
And that's what we try to do. We don't go ahead and try to do the same thing year after year after year. This is not something that is formulaic. Every single year, I have a new group of students, and I need to be able to adjust. I need to be able to identify what their needs are and respond to those.
And tell us, you're very gifted and amazing students. How has the pandemic affected you and your students, and how education was conducted for you
Mhm.
to this top school? May I remind you, fourth best high school in the United States. It's incredible. And this is compared even to private schools. So it's not just public schools. We have the fourth best high school in the United States, and it's a public high school. We are so indebted to you for bringing us that distinction. Tell us, though, the question was how the pandemic has changed things for education from your eyes.
Okay, so I would say in multiple ways. One has to do with mental health, right? So once again, we talk about emotional IQ, social
Mhm.
skill sets, right? So a lot of these students that were at home, we need to now recalibrate the expectations as to how they reintegrate themselves into society and into a school community where they're able to engage, they're able to also receive the services that they're deserving of, right? Number one. So we've had more incidents of students with anxiety and depression
Have
than
you?
absolutely than before.
And how does that manifest?
So that manifests with students that um, either are not engaging as before or their grades are toppling. Students that um, are showing, for example, or exhibiting emotional distress through crying and through other mechanisms when they fail, right? So they're having
Oh,
difficulties with
Accepting
accepting failure.
defeat.
Correct. Because once again, so for us is building that level of resilience. That's number one. Number two, especially math skills. The math skills are one of those things that when you lack foundational skills or you have,
It's,
it's like
yes, sir.
it's almost like Swiss
Uh,
cheese. So when you have those
mhm.
pockets where the students have not been able to master, it's very difficult for them to go on to this next.
Absolute. Oh my
So
goodness, it's
so
impossible.
it correct.
I
So
wish people would understand
and
that.
and let me tell you, those two things are intertwined, which I discussed, which is students deficiency in mathematics with the anxiety
uh,
and the
uh,
emotional distress, right?
mhm.
Because once again, they're struggling, some of them are failing. So how, and at the same time we're telling them to build resilience. So how do students build that level of confidence and trust in their ability and self-esteem when they're not doing well? The other thing has to do with trying to increase parental engagement, right, and involvement.
Yes, sir.
And I think that um, the most important ingredient for student success starts at home,
Of
right?
course,
And it
that's
starts and
research for the last 60 years. Not one research paper does not say that
right.
same thing.
And it's very important, and it starts with values, right? It starts with values at home. It starts with culture. It starts with expectations. And I always
Mhm.
tell my parents
Mhm.
that you don't have to be a subject matter expert,
Mhm.
but you need to be a parent that provides structure, provide conditions, provides oversight at home, where you have a area where you have designated for your child to be able to do their
Mhm.
home learning assignments without interruption, where you as a parent may not have the subject matter knowledge, but you're encouraging your child, right?
Mhm.
And that's important. Where you are using the grade book to be able to see how your child is doing, asking your child what did they learn, right? Having conversations with their teachers through emails, right? Or going showing up to open houses. So we tend to see plenty of engagement at the beginning, but it tends to drop off in middle and high school.
Absolutely,
And those are the
yes.
most important years,
I,
right? And I always
yes.
tell parents, yes, kindergarten, elementary school is important, but unless you want your child to stay at home with you forever, high schools are the most
Oh, that's
important
a
year,
great threat.
right? Those are the most important years, right?
That's a great
Because
threat.
it's not going to be elementary school grades that are going to matter. It's going to be high
Absolutely.
school. So parents have to be present, and they cannot delegate that responsibility away. It's a joint partnership between the schools, the parents, and the students, and we all should be working together and trying to bring out the best in students and supporting them both in their intellectual, in their emotional, and most importantly in their future endeavors.
Well, we spoke about teachers. We're almost out of time, but it's fascinating, and you're a wonderful, wonderful asset to our community. Tell us, did you have a teacher or teachers that really influenced you in your life? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. And Donald Chipinelli, he was the music teacher at Filer's Middle School,
What instrument were you playing?
trombone and percussion.
Okay.
And I continue that into high school. In fact, that's where I met my wife, who was also in band.
Oh,
So
in high school you
in
met.
high school,
Oh,
so
wow.
yes, and we've been together ever since.
Do you
So
have children of your?
absolutely, I have a child that also will be attending School for Advanced Studies next year.
Oh,
So I'm not
congratulations.
only principal, but
And
I'm also a
a
parent
parent.
and a strong
Now
believer.
you have to practice what you preach.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so Don Chipinelli, once again, when I talk about sanctuary, the music room was a sanctuary. In the morning, he would be there an hour.
This was middle school?
Middle school, he will be there an hour and a half before school
Isn't
opened,
that wonderful?
and students will be in there practicing music. And we just went ahead and we just built this cohesive community and group of students that were devoted to music, and that's what allowed us to be able to not run astray,
Uh-huh.
not to be dominated by what was happening in the streets.
Uh-huh.
That also built our ability to in essence acquire another language, which is music.
Mhm.
Music is a language.
Oh my goodness, it's
Number
so
one,
important and so tied to
math, and
math.
absolutely
All
the
the
math and science
research is
and that side of the
there.
brain. Absolutely. But you know what? You're imagine a student from Hialeah coming from a working class community, um, being exposed to classical music, being exposed to John Philip Sousa, and doing
Imagine,
marches
imagine.
and so forth. And there is where my discipline in conjunction with my parents was reinforced. work ethics, right? The fact of excellence and commitment, right? In music, you're able to start as a beginner and you're able to mature and you're able to see the byproduct of
Do-
your work.
this is excellence in education, and I have guests always that are excellent in some form of education, and you have no idea how many of them have the music background. It's amazing. Dr. Monteagudo, we're out of time. I can't believe it.
Right.
And I have 20 other questions about what's your favorite meal, and if you had a magic bullet, what would you do? But we're out of time. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for
My
being
pleasure.
here. Thank you for the incredible work. Last thing, your scores. Some of the scores are coming out. How have your students performed?
The students, once again, above expectation,
Yay!
and that's what we want to see, and
That's
that's really a reflection not only of our students, but more importantly, the dream makers at our school, which are our teachers.
thank
They're
you.
the ones that make it happen.
Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you. My pleasure.
thank you all for listening to our show, Excellence in Education. Thank you. Oh.